Welcome to Silicon Valley Asian Business Talk.
So my name is Melvin, and I run a startup that focuses on helping founders to operate their companies. So essentially, we serve as an operations manager to take care of all the compliance, their financial operations like accounting and bookkeeping, as well as the people operations like payroll, recruiting. The goal is to essentially simplify the process of running a company for the founders so that they can save time, keep their focus on the really strategic aspect, and leave all the operational work to our platform. So we built a business in Singapore, and we're now in the US. So the company in Singapore is called Starboard, but the product we're going to launch in the US, or we're in the process of launching with some early customers already, is called Stellar.
Discussion topic: How experiences changed my approaches to new ventures.
Because you are a very experienced entrepreneur at multiple ventures. So maybe this is a very, very good opportunity for young entrepreneur to learn from experienced people like you by telling them, if you compare young Melvin versus experienced Melvin, what's the difference in growing the new venture business? Could you kind of elaborate on that, like your journey? Think about the early days of young Melvin as an entrepreneur versus today. How have you changed when you approach the same new venture, starting, growing business?
Wow, again, this is one of those questions where there are probably like 1,000 answers, 1,000 points to the answer.
Yeah, give us some example you can think of.
So many things. Some examples. Today, I stopped settling, right? When I started my first, venture, first business, I just, I was focused on every opportunity. And I was just focused on solving problems. If I need to hire somebody to do something, right? If I need to hire somebody to do marketing, for example, and the need became more and more apparent, sometimes even before finding the right person, I would just settle and find, and hire somebody whom I think, may not be the right person.
Okay. That's what you mean. Settling means you try to fix the problem in the very, kind of you don't have a lot of patience. Wait, just try to solve the problem as soon as possible.
More of, if I need somebody to do X, right, and I interview a bunch of people and I still can't find the person who's the right fit, right? In the past, I would just pick the best, pick the next best person and just bring the person on board. In my experience, most of the time, it didn't really work out in the long term, right? Like I said, maybe the person has the right skills, but just, poor ethics or, just cultural, different values and just wrong cultural fit, right? And so I would say, don't settle on people. Like, be very clear I'm very clear what kind of values matter to me. I'm very clear what kind of values matter to me and what kind of person. And I don't settle, as I would say, maybe not perfectly, but I won't settle as much today as I did in the past. In fact, I try, my main focus is just don't settle, right? Just make sure that when I have somebody come on board the team, I'm not settling. That's the difference. In the past, I'll be like, okay, I need somebody to do this. I need a co-founder. I would just settle for whatever, right? Maybe not so much the co-founder. I've had really great co-founders so far, so pretty lucky there. But I think that one thing is not to settle. The other thing is to focus on, I'd say, to focus on building the business for myself. And I know that specific sentence can be misconstrued, right? I don't mean to build it for myself. But what I mean is, in the entire journey, it's all about my journey is all about growth. It's all about personal growth, right? Whatever happens to the business, any success or failure in the course of running the business, I think it's an opportunity to grow. I would say in my earlier ventures, it's all about the business. I live and die by the business. And if it was successful, I took it very personally. If something failed, I took it very personally as well. And today I don't. Today I just see the business, the venture as much as I care a lot about it, like a lot. But at the same time, I see it as, it's not me, right? And whatever happens in the business, what's more important for me is that I handle my own personal psychology well. I focus on my growth. I focus on what I learn. I focus on what I can do differently for the business next time. What else? I think something along the lines of disruptive, what we're talking about earlier, and that is some of my earlier businesses, I just focus on what the vision could be, what the ultimate disruption could be. And I didn't pay attention to the sustaining innovation that was required to build the team, to attract, additional investment to go build that disruption. So my current business has a disruptive nature to it. It's something that we don't share publicly. But, my team and I were excited about what that disruptive vision could be. But at the same time, the business model that we've chosen lends itself to sustaining innovation, the stuff that we can do day to day, right? We're investing for the future. We're making a lot of investments in building something that's truly disruptive. But on the day to day, we're also investing in making sustaining innovation so that our, the unit economics of our business continually improve.
That's very good. Seems to me the overall theme based upon your comment is, as you become more experienced, you become more patient. That goes back to your not settling. Make sure you do find the people who will not create a long-term problem by settling right now.
Yeah.
And the second point, I think it's very good one is you tend to be, as you become, more experienced, emphasize on the personal growth, less on the business success or failure. Is that true? The second point, say, focus on personal growth.
I'd say focus on, well, not so much, focus on personal growth more than the business. It's more of just a different way I would view success and failure. Yeah. I would say at a very early stage, it was very easy for my whole identity to be caught up with the success or the failure of the company. But at a later stage, right now, it's just a lot easier to see it as being two separate things. And I would say it's not about being more patient. I'd say at this stage, I'm actually even more impatient about certain things. I am more tolerant about some things, and I am very much less tolerant about some things. So again, back to values, right? So I'm very, very much less tolerant about certain about values. So for instance, in our team, one of the key things that I've always believed in is that we should not have gossip in the company. Right? And since my last corporate job, my team members would know that I would not tolerate that. Right? If I would not tolerate having one team member talk behind the back of another team member in a way that's unkind or that's unfair. Right? I've always believed that if I want to say something about somebody, that one thing I want to say, I should be prepared to say in front of that somebody. Right? And I think that gossip or this kind of back channeling, the harmful form of back channeling, is disruptive for a team. And because only people build companies, if we don't build a really great team culture, then it affects the outcome of the company. And the difference is, in the past, very much early on in my career, I could tolerate some of that. Today, I have zero tolerance for that. Right?
Yeah.
So
actually, go ahead.
So I'd say it's not so. I think that the difference is just I'm a lot clearer about what I tolerate and what I don't tolerate. And at the same time, I'm also a lot more tolerant about certain things, right? So maybe it's more of knowing what battles to pick and what battles not to pick.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah. So if I can give and that's a way to shortcut this, right? So I've grown and I've learned all this about myself, and I've defined a way of working for myself through the years. But I would say for somebody starting out, they have the advantage of, doing that really quickly and at the start. So they're shortcuts. And I'd say it's just being a lot more reflective. I think the other word that comes to mind is flow as well. Early on in my career, early on in starting the business, I was told that you just have to bulldoze your way through, right? Like the hallmarks of a good entrepreneur or a good founder is that they get the impossible done. And that's true, right? That's one way to look at it. And yes, you definitely want the persistence and the aggressiveness to be able to get the impossible things done. But I think there's also a wisdom on the flip side. And sometimes if certain things, you just don't experience flow in the certain things, maybe it's not meant to be. And if you just tune into your intuition, as I do a bit more these days, I find that just going with the flow, not being distracted by stuff, but just observing what gives your team members and yourself most energy, and what energizes your customers the most, and what seems to be, not that there's no difficulty, but things just flow, right? So I don't have this too esoteric an answer, but I would say today I pay attention more to the flow of things than I did in the past. In the past, in my first few ventures, it was just me choosing an outcome and just bulldozing my way there. And yes, sometimes it worked, and sometimes it was just, most of the time it would work, but it would be painful. And maybe, I'm guessing there were opportunity costs. If I had been more focused on flow, maybe I could have put all the energy and the persistence into accelerating, going with the flow.
Thank you for watching.